Okay, so now that we've got our objects set up that we're going to be using here for our data sources, let's go ahead and actually start using them. What I'm going to do is I need to define here an instance. I need to create an instance of this class and make it available to the application. We've got everything we need in here to start accessing it, but we have yet to tell our application to go ahead and use it. What I'm going to do, the way that I've done this, is I'm going to go over to the app file here. All right. Every time you create a SwiftUI application, you're going to get this file, and it's going to have whatever the name is, followed by the name of the app, the project that you create, followed by app.swift. And what it's doing here, just to briefly go over this is the absolute top level of your SwiftUI application. The window group is loading in our content view. Okay, the content viewer, of course, you've seen this anytime you've created a SwiftUI application. By default, you're going to get this content view. This is the perfect place to put our data. The reason being is if we put it here, and the way that we're going to do this, we're going to be setting it up to say, hey, this view and any sub-views within this view, we want this data to be available. Think about that for a second. This content view here is our top level view. So we're essentially saying this top parent level view of our application plus any sub views, which is going to be any views that we work with, essentially within our content view here, make this data available. That is the key here to making this data available across the application. But how do you do that? SwiftUI has something called an environment object. And thanks to Xcode, again, it's going to help us out here. If I do dot environment, if I spell it right, environment, you have this environment object. And you can see here, it supplies an observable object to a view sub-hierarchy, which is what I just described. I'm just going to hit return, and I'm going to explain this here a little more. So we're adding this property to our content view, the main view of our application. Now, what it's going to do is it's going to make available to that view this environment object. Now, we need to provide it an object to make available. Okay, makes sense. So what are we going to do here? Well, some of you may have already figured this out. What we're going to do is we're going to make our list, our class that we created, that item list, we're going to make that available. That's what we're going to do. We're going to make that an environment object. So I'm just going to say item list there, and it's going to put that in there. Now, the other key thing here is when it renders our top view, our content view of our application, we're going to inject this environment object, and it's also going to be initialized because if I go over to here, and I'll just show you this, we've got this init here, right? What I'm going to do, just to show you how this works, I'm just going to put in here a print statement. I'm just going to put in, hey, we initialized the item list. All right, just going to save that. Let's go back. I'm just going to recap this quickly. We're going to instantiate our item list. All right, so through the init, it's going to print this statement, and that's going to happen when we start our application, and our application fires up this content view. So I'm going to go ahead and just run it here, just to show you, all right, just to prove that this is firing it up and everything's working the way we expect. Pull up the simulator here. It'll take a second. All right. Here it is in the console. Hey, we initialized the item list. So perfect. We know it's working. We've initialized an instance, made it an environment object of the content view. Fantastic. That's all we need to do here. We're just going to save that, go back over to our content view. So now it is available in this view. We're not doing anything with it yet. In the next video, we're going to go through and we're going to now attach this and start using it in our content view, and we're going to create some data so that we can start working with it. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to put it in the init here of this class, replace this print statement, because this is the perfect place to just put in some dummy data as I'm showing you and teaching you how this works. Later on, of course, you would, grab this data wherever you're going to get it from, whether you're loading it from a JSON file, a URL, it's embedded in the application, whatever it may be, that's your choice. If you're interested in that, I'm thinking that I can put together some videos on that as well for you to show you how we get the data loaded from a file or some other place. But in these videos, just to show you the technique, we're actually going to initialize it right here in the init. So that's going to be in the next video.